Middle school. It's the hardest years, let's be honest. But we got this. Hey everybody, it's Amanda here at the Bealles. This is my family, and I'm a veteran homeschool mom. I educated all three of my children at home, and they graduated and they went to college, and they're reasonably functioning adults at this point. So anyway, I've been asked a lot of questions lately about homeschooling, and people are just getting started and have concerns about what kind of curriculum to use. And so I thought I'd do a video just to share with you curriculum that I recommend that might be helpful to you. So today we're doing middle grades. I've already done early childhood education and elementary age, and I'll link them at the top if you want to check those out. And I also did a video, by the way, on what if I mess up my child? If you haven't seen that, make sure you watch that, because that's another question I get asked a lot. But anyway, so today we're talking about middle school, and the thing is that when we started talking about early childhood education, I spoke a lot about avoiding structured learning. It's focused on play, it's focused on them as an individual and just exploring the world, so to speak. And then when you move into elementary school, you're really starting to get more structured learning. Well, here in middle school, the idea is you're starting to break away from structured learning into self-directed education. So it's kind of running the ebb and flow, and we're going to get to the place where by the time we get to high school, it can be hopefully almost totally self-directed, because once you get to be an adult, you are responsible for your own education. So hopefully we've taught them to be able to learn. That is the goal. But middle school is challenging because you are kind of moving into where they have to be responsible for themselves. And, some of the fun things are gone. Recess, we've probably done away with that. They have a little bit more time in structured learning, probably 4 to 6 hours every day with fewer breaks. And this is just where we expect them to kind of buckle down and learn to be responsible. So like I said, it's challenging, but this is also a really good time because we're building a foundation for their future. And at this point, they're kind of starting to see it. They're starting to think about high school or college or what their future is going to be. One thing I'll recommend is if you have a middle schooler, you might possibly have some younger children, maybe teaching multiple grades. And I definitely think you should require your older children, those in middle school, to get up earlier and be ready, help with the chores, get dressed, be at whatever space that you're homeschooling at before the younger children, because at this point, they should be more responsible and setting a good example for them. And I think if you get your older children active and busy and doing things that way, then you're going to have an easier time with your younger children. So that's just a little mom piece of advice for you right there. As always, I say start with the hardest subjects first, and then move your way down to their most favorite subjects. That way they're more motivated toward the end of the day to be busy about the things they enjoy. And as always, read aloud every day. I know you're thinking middle schoolers don't want to hear someone read. They do. I used to teach a multi-grade classroom in a Christian school, and I was teaching high school, and also I had a 7th grade class in addition to 9th grade. And so I was reading aloud with my 9th graders, and we were reading Jane Eyre. And I had one 7th grade boy who was like, Jane Eyre, I can't believe you're reading Jane Eyre. It's a girl book. And had seemingly no interest in it. But we were doing it as a read aloud, and I could see him kind of leaning his chair over so he could hear more about it. And I was like, hey, I thought Jane Eyre was a girl book. And he was like, it's actually really good. So, even at 7th grade and even in high school, they actually really enjoy being read aloud to if you're choosing literature that's interesting to them. So just a side note, if you're thinking my 7th and 8th grade boys aren't going to be interested in that, they will be if you choose good literature. One other thing I want to mention is that I don't recommend online learning at this age. Definitely at the middle school age, they're already going to be involved with plenty of things online. Plenty of technology will be in their life. But what you need to develop is a love for learning outside of that. Get them outside. Get them involved in books. So I try to do that as little as possible at this age. You do what feels right for you. That's just what I'm recommending. On another note, spelling and handwriting are no longer necessary. Some homeschool curriculums offer it, but you don't have to do it. If you feel like your child really needs to work on their spelling, I recommend Rod and Staff spelling. All right, I am jumping in right here to remind you that this week, Ultimate Bundles has the Ultimate Homeschooling Bundle on sale. It is $1,300 worth of materials for only $29.50. You cannot beat this price. They have, and I wrote it down, 13 ebooks, 8 e-courses, 22 workbooks and printable packs, 5 complete curricula, 2 membership sites, and a homeschooling summit. You guys do not want to miss that. That homeschooling summit in and of itself has 33 workshops and additional bonuses. So that's a great deal in of itself. But as it relates to middle school curriculum, they have so many great things. I wrote this down too. They have the Big Book of Writing Prompts, Engaging Science Labs Sampler, Foraging and Wildcrafting Bundle, Mega Art Journal Pack, and my personal favorite, the Fruit of the Spirit Complete Bible Curriculum from Bible Baton. That in and of itself is a $59.99 value. You save so much money right there, and you get all of the other great materials, planners, get started homeschooling courses and helps. You don't want to miss this. It is only on sale until Friday at midnight for $29.50. Grab it. I have an affiliate link down in the description box below. Check it out and grab that if it's going to work for you. So back to middle school curriculum suggestions. With that being said, these are the books that I recommend for your middle school child. This is the curriculum. And these are things that worked for us. I hope it'll work for you. And without further ado, English, I recommend Rod and Staff. I mentioned it in my elementary age curriculum recommendations because they are excellent. Again, they are not fancy. They don't have colorful pages. It's a Mennonite curriculum. They don't have fancy workbooks. It's pretty much a book, and then there's, a lesson and some questions, and they're going to write the answers on their own paper. But it is simple. It's not a lot of work. Some of those other curriculum with workbooks, it's actually a whole lot more work, and it doesn't teach them any more quickly. I think Rod and Staff is really thorough, and it meets the needs, and it's not complicated, and it's inexpensive. So I highly recommend Rod and Staff. I really like it. For math at the middle grades level, before I recommended Becca and Bob Jones, and I still recommend those, but at this age level, I will also recommend teaching textbooks and Saxon. Now, I know I just said I don't recommend online learning, but some of you guys really struggle with math in and of yourselves, and you might feel inadequate to teaching your child. If so, teaching textbooks is one that a lot of homeschoolers that I know use and have used successfully. So it can help teach your child a math subject that you might personally be struggling with. So teaching textbooks, good option. Also Saxon. I personally do not love Saxon, but my oldest son, who is a math super genius, and he was born that way, I didn't do anything for that, but he loves Saxon. In fact, by the time he was done with high school homeschool, he continued to use the Saxon books to teach himself calculus. He's, what can I say? He's a sick individual, but he's a wonderful person, and he had a bachelor's degree at 19, but he loves Saxon, and if you have a child who also loves math, they might also do very well with Saxon. So just throwing that out there as an option for you. It starts in middle school as to where they're really starting to get into a line going towards high school maths. You want to start that in middle school if that's the direction they're heading. Science, no question, Apologia. I love Apologia. It is excellent. I mentioned it in the elementary one as well, and I really highly recommend their astronomy for middle grades. It was our absolute favorite, and I also mentioned before that it is made to be used with families with children of multiple ages. So you can make it a little bit more challenging for older students and a little less challenging for younger students. So if you want to try to cut down on your homeschool time, it's a really great curriculum. So highly recommend Apologia. Definitely high on my list. Health. At this age level, they might be learning health specifically. And I definitely think it's something that more children need to be knowledgeable about. I really liked the Becca health curriculum. I thought it was thorough, and they understood all the systems of the body well and how to take care of it. So just mental note, if you want to do a health curriculum, Becca is really excellent. Social studies, again, I am recommending either Becca or Bob Jones if you want a structured curriculum, or if you are open to it, Sunlight. Sunlight, again, is a reading-based curriculum. You're basically reading fiction and nonfiction novels, and based on what you're learning there, you're learning your actual historical truths. And they've got such a great system. In fact, I've been recommending for all of these videos a box curriculum. And at the middle grades, I highly recommend, if you just want to buy one box curriculum and be done with it, I recommend Sunlight. It's a little bit more expensive. It's a lot more expensive. I'm not going to tell you. It's a lot more expensive. But it is excellent, and I cannot deny the proof is in the pudding. So if you can afford it, if you think your child would do well with a reading-based curriculum, Sunlight is excellent, and they have a very good grasp on history and have a great way of teaching it to your children so that they retain it. So, Sunlight. Music, again, I'm going to recommend lessons, especially at the middle grades level. By this point, they should have a basic grasp on music ideas and concepts. If you don't want to do a music course, when we were in middle school, we did music, we did shop, or we did home ec, and I think you could safely do that within your own home depending on what your state laws are. So this might be another option for you, but music lessons, so many studies are out there that show that learning music, developing your musical skills helps you in other areas of learning. So music lessons, put your money into it, make sure all of your children learn at least one instrument. Take the time, very valuable. Art, again, I'm going to recommend the same, either a Becca, which is just like a workbook and they'll work through it, and it actually does a really good job of teaching perspective drawing, and so it's kind of interesting how it works, but it's not complicated. Anybody can teach it. But another really great curriculum that I mentioned before was How Great Thou Art. And there's a number of books in that curriculum, but it's all art-based. I'm going to link it down in the description box, and I'm going to link all these other ones down in the description box, by the way. Some of them are Amazon affiliate links, some of them aren't. If you choose to use it, great, thank you, I appreciate it. You're supporting our channel. If not, that's fine too. But How Great Thou Art, definitely check out his program because I really loved it. It was so simple, and I feel like children learned a lot. And of course, I have one son who actually went to college. He's an artist, and he got his degree in advertising and graphic design, and it's excellent. So definitely check that one out. PE. So at the middle grades level, you definitely want to do some group activities, preferably maybe being involved in a sport, maybe your group co-op. Also, this is about the time that they really should start learning to be responsible for their own physical health. So maybe right around the age of 12, most gyms allow children to start joining. So this is the time for you to take your child and make sure they're learning lifelong health lessons that they can take into their future. So keep the big picture in mind at the middle grades level. You're not worried about just letting them go outside and play. Yeah, you could do that and make sure they're healthy, but you really want to get them to the point that they have a very structured plan to make sure that for the rest of their life, they can have good physical health. Reading. Now, before I recommended pathway readers, and I still really like pathway readers for middle grade education. However, in the middle grades, pathway readers start getting a little bit more serious in their biblical teaching, which I have zero problem with, but they do actually tell stories about some of the martyrs for the faith. And I found that some of my children were a little sensitive to those stories. So if that might be a problem for you and your child, another one that I recommend is Learning Language Arts Through Literature. On the contrary, this one is rather secular. So there might be books that you might not be comfortable with, but just look for a series. They come in different colors. There's a green book and a red book and a pink book. There's all these different curriculum books, and they have different pieces of literature associated with them. So even though one might not be for the grade that your child is in, it might work better for your child. So it's really inexpensive. Again, I have it all linked down below, but Learning Language Arts Through Literature I thought also did a really good job of teaching your children about reading, but you also have the bonus of additional language arts skills when you do it. And again, I'll recommend with reading that if you have an auditory learner and you're going through these reading books, especially when you're doing literature, it might be helpful to get the audiobook, because then they can hear the audiobook and have the book in their hand, and it'll help them develop skills to improve their reading skills. So just to have that in mind. I know I mentioned earlier that a complete curriculum that I recommend at this age level is Sunlight, but if you want to do a secondary one that's inexpensive, Rod and Staff at the middle grades is also excellent. It's again very inexpensive, very, very inexpensive compared to Sunlight, but it is old-fashioned. It just is, which I don't find to be a problem. I really prefer the old-fashioned education, but if you're used to all the flash and the fancy things, it might be a little bit like, what is this? But it's thorough. It does the job. And if you're just trying to get in there and get the schoolwork done and move on, that's the one for you. So if you really want a one-box curriculum for middle school, that's the one. Go for Rod and Staff. So anyway, those are my curriculum recommendations for middle school. I hope that was helpful to you. If you have any questions, let me know down in the comment box below. I'd love to help you and encourage you, especially when it comes to your middle grades education. So next time we are going to be talking about, take a little break from my recommendations, and tell you how I homeschool high school and graduate my children early. Because I want to explain to you the process before I give you curriculum recommendations. So anyway, so come back tomorrow and you can hear about that, which if you have a middle grades child, you might be interested because you might be thinking about the future. So that's it. Don't forget to follow us at The Bealles on Facebook and Instagram, and also check us out at thebealles.com. It's our new website, should be up this week. And I am very excited to share it with you. So anyway, that's that. You all have a wonderful day and we'll see you next time. Bye.